Hello everyone and welcome to the Gamers Inn. Come on in, pull up a chair next to the fire. It looks like you've had a long journey. I'm your host Ryan this week. Jocelyn is away traveling back from her vacation in Montreal. DreamHack, all that fun business. You'll learn more about that next week, or you've probably already been following along on the many devices and platforms that she's been posting to. Awesome stuff. But tonight, I have new guests to the Gamers Inn. I believe this is your first time. John Jagger from Core and other such fine podcasts available on the internet.
That's right. Hello.
Hey.
I am not Jocelyn, as people may have noticed, but I will fulfill her Canadian duty and say I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I mean, we try to at least keep our sorry quota to a minimum, because I know a lot of our listeners are from less polite countries. But I mean, now that I've offended out like 90% of our listeners,
Sure.
And our guest for that matter, who is not Canadian.
Look, I'm not offended. It's just true.
Okay, yeah, that's true. You are not from Canada. But we are going to talk about video games, and none of which were made they were played in Canada, but they're not made in Canada. A big release came out last week, No Man's Sky. I see you're playing that as well. And I'm curious to hear if you've been enjoying it, if you've been really just exploring the cosmos as I have.
I have. No Man's Sky has held me in a grand and glorious way. I keep saying, I don't think I'm going to play it. I don't think I'm going to play it that much tonight. I have other things I want to do. No Man's Sky tonight. And then when I'm playing other things, I just keep thinking, yeah, but what if I was in space right now?
Yeah, it's true.
And it's hard to get past that. And, I listened to your show last week, cool. And I know kind of your initial feelings going in, and it sounds like maybe some of those have changed.
A little bit.
So I'm curious to hear where you are this week on No Man's Sky.
I've been playing since Tuesday's release. I actually stayed up until ungodly hour on Monday night to play. I was up till 4 playing.
Wow.
And yeah, that initial burst in No Man's Sky is kind of like, I'm going to experience everything about this game as much as possible as I can before my eyes shut. For a good amount of time, almost forever. That's terrible.
It got real dark.
I know. I was gonna say. I mean, it was just an energy drink. It's not like it was like Red Bull and cocaine, right? So, anyways, I've been really enjoying. I was really enjoying the game at the very beginning, and that was sort of echoed in my opinion I shared on the Gamers Inn, and last week, and Jocelyn had said, the game looks like it's going to get boring, and what you're describing that you're enjoying could potentially get pretty dull after a while. And I thought about that a little more, and then when I went back to play, I was like, oh, I am just landing, gathering stuff, going off to the next planet, and rinse repeat. And I've kind of like turn the table a few times with the game where I'm really enjoying it, and then I kind of hit that wall. Like, I feel like the internet has sort of broke the glass for me with this game, where they've pointed out not necessarily a flaw, but certainly like this issue with the game that is, once you experience everything there is to do in No Man's Sky, not necessarily everything as in like the 18 quintillion planets, but the gameplay of the mining and the searching for drop pods and discovering alien life, yada, yada, yada. And that hit me pretty hard. But then after a couple more days of kind of playing it, I realized, wait a minute, this game really is great if you go in just enjoying the actual great parts of the game. Like, if you try to focus on the lack of content, the lack of gameplay diversity, you start to lose out on the fact that every planet you visit is randomly generated, it's all unique, and you know what? If you don't like the planet, you don't have to stay there.
Yeah.
It's a real issue for me, because I'm a kind of person who's like, I'm going to do everything in this area, and I'm going to hate myself for it, and then I'm going to move on and really enjoy the first hour in the next area before I do the same exact thing. And the game really kicks you in the pants for doing that, because unless you find a planet that you really enjoy, but sometimes you'll find planets that are like everyday planets that we have in our solar system. There's just nothing there that we know of.
Right.
They don't have an expansion where you can go underground and find the Martian Manhunter just yet.
Not yet, but
Not
we
yet.
can hope. Right now, it's just a bunch of jerk crabs. If you go underground, that's what you'll find. Jerk crabs.
I think that I mean, and that's the thing, right? So I've kind of come around to where the internet is on it, and then I've actually come back around to where I was originally. Like, I'm obviously, no game continues to be the best thing ever made, but this game, I think, has a long staying power. I'm excited that the developers are out there saying, yes, we're going to do content patches. And they danced back on the fact that, you know, they might do paid DLC in the future, which is fine. I'm totally cool with paid DLC. But I have faith that these developers are going to support this game as if it was like an early access title. It kind of feels early access in a sense that the initial loop is there. But now we just need to keep that loop active, keep adding new stuff, and they've been pretty vocal about what they're adding to the game, I think. But yeah, not to say it's a tough game to recommend now. I think now that I've experienced it, but I think if I know someone and how their gaming habits are sort of in relation to mine, it'd be pretty easy to recommend No Man's Sky. I think it's not everybody's title. But I am excited to go back to it. I'm excited to continue to play it. Excited to ignore barren planets.
Yeah. And I mean, I think you really nailed kind of where, I don't want to say I came to, because I kind of started here.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're going to ask me, well, will I like No Man's Sky the game?
Right.
I don't think I can recommend that to anybody. I don't think I can say, yes, this is a great video game.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and this sounds so hipster, but it's like, I think I could say this is a really good experience.
Yes.
Because there isn't really much of a game to it, especially, you know, the more you go, the more inventory you get, the more tricks you learn to deal with, you know, hostile planets. You know, I can go to a planet that has storms and bad temperatures, and I can spend days outside of my ship with no problem. Mm-hmm. But I think once you get to that point, you know, you've completely removed the game at that point.
Yeah.
But for something that I can just say, you know what, I'm gonna just go into space. I'm gonna look for weird things while I have Netflix on. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna watch Star Trek Voyager just to get me in the mood. You know, and I'll explore planets while they do. Why not? Like, and I've had a lot of fun approaching it from that way. And I'm the same way. Like, if planet sucks, I leave. You know, I had a planet the other day that I actually named Boridium because I was just walking around on it and I thought, this planet is just the worst. It's just brown dirt. 2 miles between every bit of minerals in the world, mm-hmm. And I hate this. I hate this planet. I'm getting in my ship and I'm leaving it. I'm naming it Boridium and I'm gone. But, you know, that is what it is. You know, you have the freedom to do that, and you have the freedom to go at your own pace. And I think if you go in expecting a high-paced, you know, just, I'm going to get in and I'm going to do a lot of cool things, you're just not going to see it. It's kind of more of a casual fare where cool things occasionally happen.
Yeah,
and
it's not Mass Effect, right? Like, you go in thinking, sci-fi, spaceship, exploration. This is going to be Mass Effect, and it's going to have a great story, and really, like you mentioned Boridium, and it's like, I mean, I think for me, I'm a gamer who really loves experiences. As someone who's been playing games, I'm pretty sure for my entire life, I guess I'll ask my mom to double check that fact, but I've been playing games for a very long time, and I'm sure you have as well, and I'm getting to the point where I need new experiences to still be able to enjoy the dose of World of Warcraft I take every year and a half, the dose of Call of Duty I dabble with every year, like the sports games, the fantasy epics. You need a palate cleanser, and that's what No Man's Sky is. That's what Firewatch is. That's what's Gone Home is. It's a new experience that just kind of alleviates just the same thing over and over again. And I mean, some might argue that in No Man's Sky, you are literally doing the same thing over and over again, but you have that freedom to just, walk away from the boredom, and it's all random. So eventually you're going to come across something that's pretty spectacular and offers that wow moment. And even in the chat room, I'm seeing a lot of it feels like, it looks like. I think this is a game that, if you're remotely interested in it, you kind of have to try it to determine whether it's something you're into. And you have to find the fun, right? It's like any one of those survival games. You have to find the fun in it. Some people find fun in Ark by just taming dinosaurs and punching trees. That's their jam. Not my thing. Punching trees is kind of boring. But in No Man's Sky, I just use it as a relaxation tool. I've been putting on my headphones. I've been listening to the music. I've been just exploring. And, when I discover something that's interesting, I go towards it, and if I discover something that's not interesting, I move away. But have you started to dabble in the story at all? The story layer, I should say, the Atlas and all that fun stuff?
So yeah, actually that's been a part of the game that's been really interesting to me, and I was surprised that more people weren't talking about it. And so when you play the game, what I have found in the game is that there are kind of three big races in the game, at least that I've encountered so far.
Yeah.
There's the Korvax, who are the Daft Punk-looking fellows. The Gek, who are kind of the little lizards. And there's the Vy'keen, which are like Klingons. They kind of look like Batarians from Mass Effect, but they're basically Klingons. And most of the people I know got the Korvax in their first system. And I have found them to be the most boring, uninteresting race in the entire game. And I got the Vy'keen in my galaxy, and learning about them as a race has been fascinating because it's all things about, they were this warlike people. They went into space. They had this prophet, and the prophet was like, hey, what are these sentinels and these monoliths and all these things? And they didn't get an answer, and they decided that they were evil. And so the Vy'keen hate the sentinels, and they actually went to war with them. And they believe that the sentinels exist to keep any sentient race down from progressing and expanding and becoming anything more. And so they're the natural enemies. And even though they're this big warlike race, they have great respect and reverence for travelers. And so you're kind of a traveler to them. So you actually walk up to them and they call you interloper, but they also revere you at the same time because you're a traveler. And it's this fascinating thing that you really pick up, like, little molecule by molecule, but as you learn more about them, you're like, man, I like these guys, and yeah, screw those sentinels, they're the worst, I hate those. I'm with it, you guys are great. So it was an ideal way for me to start. As I've learned about the Gek and the Korvax, I've been a lot less interested. I don't know if there's a cool story there. The Gek's weird because they're these little kind of nerdy looking aliens, but all their monoliths are like, we will burn this galaxy in a righteous fire. And I'm like, is this supposed to be funny, or should I actually be scared of these guys? I'm not 100% sure.
They're like the Covenant, I guess. They want to just glass the entire universe. And this is the thing, like what you've described, the story that's there, the underlying mystery that is this huge universe that you will experience 1% of. Like, I caught bits and pieces of that while playing. Obviously, the Atlas, the monolith, stuff left, stuff worshipped by. Like, I never caught the Sentinels were their own race, and that they were sort of hated by not just me, but also like this entire other race. And I think that's something you can quickly miss. And I think the story is just as laid back as everything else. It's there if you want to appreciate it, right? And I've just been digging sort of the Atlas path, which, again, not explained very well, but then like your main goal of going to the center of the universe isn't explained very well either, other than, I mean, you don't really know what you're doing. You know, you're left at the fringe of the galaxy, and something's in the center of the universe to kind of help you. There's some talk that it's you're stranded and you're trying to get somewhere. But the Atlas is just like, ooh, that sounds like a juicy mystery that I want to crack. I'm going to try and do that. And the story you come across, the people you come across, it's pretty interesting. And the characters sort to evolve from just these randomly generated robots or Klingon or weird gnome-looking things. Not gnomes, but they kind of look like moles. They look like moles a little bit.
Yeah, they're weird.
Yeah, and I mean, I appreciate what's there, the game, and here in Canada, $80. It's a bit of a steep buy, which I know for some people I've said like you might want to wait till see if it goes on sale at all and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I've been digging it, and it feels again like one of those strange Ryan goes against the grain type experiences where I'm like, no, seriously, I'm really enjoying it. I'm not just being weird. Like this is a game that's actually, you know, I look forward to spending the 1 to 2 hours or however many hours I spend sitting down. And you know, sometimes you feel like you don't do anything, right? Like you sit down and you do one planet and it's like, man, I've been playing for an hour and I haven't quote unquote accomplished anything except, you know, maybe relaxing. It's not like it's paperwork. I could be doing paperwork.
Feels good. It feels good to just relax and explore planet. Although yesterday I got stuck on a planet.
Now, I've been hearing some stories of people getting stuck. So how did you get stuck?
So here's what happened. So I got kind of done with this planet, and I had explored, and I was a ways away from my ship, and it reaches that point where you see it's like, all right, I'm 5 minutes walking away from my ship,
right?
But I'm 2 minutes away from the next question mark, and I might be able to summon my ship from there. Maybe I'll go towards the 2 minutes, and you go over there, and oh, nope, it doesn't have a way to call your ship. All right, I'll go to the next question mark. Now I'm like 11 minutes away from walking back to my ship. But I finally find a place to summon it, and I get in my ship, and I go to take off, and oops, wouldn't you know it, I ran out of elements. I don't have my vertical takeoff or whatever it was. Or actually, I think I was fine at that point, but I went into space and immediately got descended on by raiders. Right. And I thought, all right, well, I can fight raiders. So I shot down 2 of them, but I was fighting really low atmosphere. And one of them got lost down inside the planet. And so now I can't engage my warp drive because it still thinks there's a raider around.
Right.
So I thought, all right, well, I'll go back to the planet. I'll land. I'll get out of my ship. It'll be fine. So go back in, do all that, land. That's when I ran out of thrust juice. So now, okay, crap. Now I've got to actually go and gather some materials if I'm going to get off this world. So I do that, go back up, get back into space. Well, now the raider that was stuck in the world is back out there in space, and I have to go take care of him once again before I can go into warp, kill him.
Right.
I get attacked by a group of 6 raiders, which is a lengthy and extensive process to try and fight.
Now, wait, before you continue, I'm curious. What's your like rinse repeat? I shouldn't say that. What's your like method of taking down these raiders? Do you just recharge your shield whenever you can, or like because my shield like 2 raiders is a tough cookie to crack because I'm having to recharge my shields probably 2 or 3 times. Maybe I'm just terrible at shooting down raiders, but. How are you managing, or I guess I didn't hear the end of the story, but like, do you have upgraded shielding?
I do have one, but it doesn't really help that much. Still like 1 pass on the raiders, and I'm like, okay, time to recharge that shield. Gotta fix this. But I'm using my beam weapon against them instead of the gun.
Oh.
Because the beam weapon locks on, and there's I think it's fixed because it now works on my ship, but it didn't before. There was a glitch where you wouldn't get the lead reticle, so you didn't know where to shoot at enemy ships.
Right.
And so the beam weapon locks on, so it was like, all right, well, I'll use that. It's not ideal, but it's fine. But it eats through so many resources, and getting the shield pelted eats through so many resources that by the time I finish off these 6 raiders, I'm out of all of my elements, basically.
Right.
So, all right, time to land back on the planet that I have now tried to leave several times and do this again. So, land, start gathering resources, take care of all of that. All right, time to leave the planet. And then that time I was able to successfully leave the planet.
Right.
But it was just one of those things. And I think mixed in there are a couple things where, I scanned and found something interesting and I decided to go check that out. And that took me down a whole nother path. But I think ultimately it was like, all right, I'm going to leave this planet. And then it was like 2 hours later, okay, I finally left the planet.
I haven't run. Maybe I'm too cautious an adventurer, but I did for the first time actually just walk away from the ship. And you're right, you get to a point with your upgrades and your finding of resources on a fairly bountiful planet. You can survive for days without going back to your ship. And I remember at the very beginning that was like part of the gameplay loop where you're like, oh crap, I have to go back to my ship because it's raining acid, or I need to be able to get enough plutonium and therium or whatever to power things, and that loop was constantly happening. But as you progress in the game, you start to pick up equipment and protection against the elements, and I think that's kind of the beauty of the game in the sense of what I've been enjoying. Like, sure, there's no like hardcore story like quest system. The gameplay to do is not as in depth yet, but I think the progression of the systems and slowly like bringing your character up to speed, like, okay, I am now able to survive in this universe. Whereas when you started, you didn't even have a ship. I'm pretty sure that ship you had was it was trashed and you had to survive, you know? And it was kind of rewarding to slowly figure out how to survive longer and start to actually coexist with these other beings that had much, more of a head start on you. You kind of feel like not only are you an interloper, but you're also like this newbie in the vast universe that is pretty dangerous. But I'm hoping as I continue to play it, I'm going to come across some more planets that are a little more hostile, because I'm right there with you. I find that the planets aren't offering much of a difficulty spike, although. Then again, maybe I'm like, well, maybe I don't need that difficulty spike. I'm pretty happy not having to weirdly shoot at things, which, works, but it's not. It feels a little clunky to me. But mining is just, I have a blast just mining things.
Well, see, what you should do is you put all your multi-tool upgrades into attack laser as well, and then you just use the mining tool on everything.
Nice.
You don't ever have to switch to shooting, because I do that on the ground too. Because basically on the survival planets, I build whatever the shield is to fight off, whether it's cold or fire, radiation, whatever. I build that, but it runs out really, really fast.
Oh yeah.
But what I found is you can recharge it with titanium, and you are guaranteed to pick up titanium every time you kill a sentinel. So I just piss off the sentinels. They're always around. So as soon as one comes by, I just shoot it, blow it up. And then usually spawns another, and there's some free titanium, and now I can recharge the shield that I just lost.
But what if at the end it calculates all the sentinels you destroyed, and it's like, you killed so many sentinels, and now the sentinels are nearly extinct. Way to go. Not only did you kill that weird cow, banana, dinosaur thing, made it extinct, which good going. We've been trying to take care of that problem for years. But also killed them. Yeah. There's a lot of...
problem.
Banana heads are a real issue in No Man's Sky, from what I hear. But yeah, it's just that's the beauty of this game, is that the procedural animal system is kind of wacky, and sometimes you'll come across this really majestic that kind of looks like a T-Rex, kind of looks like a weird flying snake. But then you also come across these animals that are just plain like frightening, like. That looks like a fluid cylinder that is coming at me very quickly, making weird sounds. And when I started playing this game, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what I was about to play. Everything I discovered was new, because I'd only watched a couple of the first trailers. And now, being on Twitter for a week and being like, okay, I need to experience some sort of No Man's Sky while I wait to play it again. Twitter's just... got so many creations, so many animals that people are discovering, and I saw like a great gif of like a Furby one, like chasing people around, which is frightening.
Oh yeah, that's horrifying. The scariest one I saw, I'll tell you, and thankfully it's a passive creature, because if this chased me, I'd be off that planet so fast. Imagine an 8-foot-tall teddy bear, or basically the characters from Five Nights at Freddy's. Like this giant stuffed bear looking thing.
Right.
But it's like 8 feet tall, and instead of a face, it has a bunch of antlers coming out.
Oh. That sounds like Jocelyn's worst nightmare.
It's just a maw of antlers on a teddy bear face running at you. Well, not running at you because these things are nice, but I was just like, I saw that and I thought, even as a passive, animal, I kind of don't want to be around this thing. I kind of want to be off this planet because what if I'm the thing that they decide, maybe we should try meat?
That guy in the spacesuit, he looks like he's nicely preserved from this weird acid planet that has made me look really weird. Maybe we should eat him. Yeah. Let's do that.
You guys ever thought about meat?
Yeah. I bet this guy's thought about meat. We could probably sharpen our antlers, and that would help us eat meat. What do you think?
It's hard to eat without teeth, but we can just gorge him repeatedly with our faces. It'll be fine.
Yeah, and then we could. Okay, yeah, I can't do any. I can't. You win. I can't go further on that one. But there's a couple things we could have done with that. But yeah, I mean, ultimately for me, and then we'll move on. We'll get your ultimates as well with No Man's Sky. So prepare. But what No Man's Sky is to me now that I've realized where it sort of sits in the vast collection of games that I have, is like this is kind of my first open world survival game that I've been able to enjoy and endure and kind of just find the fun. And that fun is, I'm not going to think about the office. I'm not going to think about, preparing or producing podcasts. I'm just going to sit here with my headphones on and relax. And I can't think of another game that I've been playing lately that actually gives me that experience. Like, I love Here's the Storm. I'm by no means relaxed when I play that game.
No.
Yeah.
Nor should you be.
And if you are, you're probably getting yelled at by people, which is not helping at all. Overwatch, not relaxing. World of Warcraft, sometimes relaxing, but the Demon Hunters don't make it very relaxing. You're kind of moving around a lot. But I really appreciate the fact that I have this game that doesn't just last 2 or 3 hours like Gone Home or Firewatch. It's a game that will last forever, probably, and that's kind of neat. I dig it, and it's kind of one of those experiences that I'm glad to go back to for a couple hours after I haven't played it in a few days now, and I'm kind of jonesing for it, just some headphone time, just explore some planets, man. But how do you feel like wrapping up No Man's Sky?
Yeah, I think you kind of nailed exactly how I feel about it. I don't know if I like the gameplay loop necessarily, but I can't deny that sitting here just talking about it, all I can think of is, but what's on the next planet? And not that I'm expecting something that I'm just never going to find, but I'm just always fascinated by what is there going to be?
Right.
I know it's not infinite possibilities, but I know there's a good chance that maybe I'll see something cool. Maybe I won't. But the only way I find it is if I go check it out and find out. And so even sitting here, I've just got that itch to go check it out. So I would say if you're looking for a game, maybe not for you. But if you're looking for a kind of just a nice way to relax and do something, even while you're doing other things, No Man's Sky has just been a wonderful distraction for me.
It's a great podcast game. And I haven't been able to do that in a while. It's like World of Warcraft, where you kind of you've listened to the music enough, you feel like you've captured, and the playlist is on Spotify. So if you really want to listen to the music again, you can just boot it up on Spotify. And I think when I'm not playing with the headphones, that's usually what I do, is I have some sort of podcast running or whatever. But no, I mean, I can see where people are coming from, where there's a lot of stuff to peck away at in terms of some issues with the game. And you're right, it's if you're looking for a new game to play that is heavy on gameplay, heavy on story, you probably don't want to look you probably want to look elsewhere. But if you're looking for just something to just relax and have a new experience, No Man's Sky is the perfect new experience. You have not played a game like this before in the way that it's been set up. I know a lot of people are making some comparisons to Starbound, but that first trailer for No Man's Sky, and you can do that in this game. You can get in your ship, take off, see a planet in the distance, go to it, and land. And that, to me, I didn't think they'd be able to do, and they did it. And It's pretty fantastic. But enough about No Man's Sky. Oh, and you said you were playing on PC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how's the PC version? Just quickly, is it treating you well? Because I know Reddit's been complaining a bit.
It's been treating me all right. I've definitely run into some problems with it. It hasn't been flawless, but I don't know. I always have a really hard time because I feel like the people who have issues get very up in arms about issues, and that's just never been me. Maybe I've just been a PC gamer for so long that it's just like, oh yeah, I played broken stuff all the time. You should have seen what it was like years ago. Like, the fact that anything works seems like a miracle to me. So, I don't know. I ran into issues, but it was just like, all right, well, I'll look up a fix, and if there isn't one, then maybe I'll come back later. But there's been a fix for everything, and so it hasn't bothered me, but I certainly can't say that it's been, a flawless experience either.
Well, I mean, and on PS4, obviously, there's the comparisons to the graphics system, and the graphics I think are pretty close, but I think the PC sort of shows off the resolution a little better and loads things probably a little better. There's some pop in on the PS4, but I really just wanted a console experience to sort of enhance that relaxation. But let's stop getting all mellow and relaxed here, and let's talk about the stress games. Let's talk about what else is keeping you busy. What else is what else are you playing? Because we know, it wouldn't be Gamers In if we didn't talk about Blizzard. So I see all the Blizzard things listed here. I want to hear top 6 Blizzard things you're doing right now.
Top 6 Blizzard things. Yeah. That's all the Blizzard things.
I know.
And that's actually what I kind of came to, because originally I was going to list them out, and I thought, all right, well, there was a new season in Diablo.
Sure.
I've been doing that. And
check.
I've been playing some Heroes of the Storm.
Of course.
That's been really great. And Overwatch added all that summer stuff, and I had to get in and try that out. And I got to play that World of Warcraft, because that has sure been on fire lately. And oh my gosh, with the exception of StarCraft 2, I've been playing all the Blizzard things. Oh, and Hearthstone. Sorry, I forgot about Hearthstone. I forgot about Hearthstone. Being a really bad fill-in Jocelyn. I'm not even talking about Hearthstone.
Jocelyn never forgets about Hearthstone, and I think on this show, Karazhan or One Night in Karazhan launched after we recorded, so I get the sense you mentioned Hearthstone last. You mentioned that you've been dabbling back in it, probably with the adventure, correct?
I haven't picked it up yet.
I haven't picked up the
adventure. I like the adventure. I like the adventures, and I think this one looks great. But we're at a place where money's a real premium at the moment, and I couldn't bring myself to be all in, and I have to be on these things. Like, I know that they give a wing for free. I don't know if they're doing that this time or not, but
they did a prologue mission.
Okay, yeah. So I know they frequently will do something for free, but I just can't do that. Like, if I'm in for a penny, I'm in for a pound, as they say.
Yeah.
And I can't afford the adventure yet because games like No Man's Sky have just been distracting me. And for some stupid reason, I bought volleyball Li Ming skin the other day. I don't even play Li Ming all that much, but had to get the volleyball skin.
I booted up Heroes and tested out the Li Ming skin, and I wasn't crazy impressed with it. Although I may have had my volume down a little low. Like, if she's like making volleyball sounds, I mean, that would be interesting, I guess. Not that I know what I want with volleyball sounds. Like, I couldn't tell you even the first thing, like, except for maybe like the sound of a volleyball being hit or something. But
sure.
I don't know. It just didn't hit me, and I think maybe it's because I don't own Li Ming, and I'm not a Li Ming player. I've played her before, but I don't own her. And usually when these skins come out, it's like, get the hero for 50% off, and here's the skin, and full price. And I'm like, that's pretty tempting, to pick up that bundle. And I don't know. So have you played a game as volleyball Li Ming yet?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Which made me feel real good about buying that skin.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll get around to it.
I bought it then we played some games, and I logged out, and I checked my email, and I got a thank you for your purchase at Blizzard, and I went into panic mode where somebody has my credit card, someone's using my stuff, what's going on? Oh wait, no, that was me doing an impulse purchase I shouldn't have done to begin with, but I did it, and so yeah, so that's the reason I haven't gotten into the new adventure, but I do love the adventures, and I am excited about this one, especially because I love Karzan. But I just haven't played it yet. Did you check it out at all?
I did, yeah. I'm not a huge Hearthstone player, mainly because I'm not willing to buy cards, and I'm also terrible at making decks. So I kind of love the adventures because they reward players like me who aren't interested in, having a large card collection. They just want to jump in, play for a little bit, and then come back in 6 months when a new adventure launches. And I loved League of Explorers, or whatever they call it. I think that was it. And then one night at Karazhan, I don't really have a connection to that raid. I never raided that one, but I love the way they do adventures. Like this, they take the Warcraft quirkiness and just notch it up to 11. And this one is no different. It feels great. The first, and actually 2/3 of the first wing are decks that they give you. Actually, maybe no, it's the last one in the prologue. The prologue mission is super fun, and I understand why you're staying away from it, because that prologue mission is so well designed that you get the tone of the game, and you get the tone of the cards you're going to be earning, and it's like, yes, I'm all in. But yeah, they build a deck for you in the first few, which I love because I'm a lazy deck builder. If they build a deck for me, I'm like, sold. I'm doing this Tavern Brawl for my free card pack. If I have to make my own deck, I'm like, I don't know, guys. Like, I'm lazy. That's probably what it is. I'm too lazy to net deck, and I'm too lazy to actually read the cards and kind of strategize where they fit. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the adventure. It's got great voice acting as usual, great mechanics. The chess event, a lot of people are raving about, and it's kind of just a new way to play Hearthstone, and I hope there's more of that. And I kind of want to go play it again, because I only did it once and beat it, and man, that would be a blast on heroic, but also maybe kind of frustrating. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm enjoying it, and at $20 US, it's kind of a good investment. I think it's a solid amount of content, and you don't necessarily need to start right now. Like, you would actually probably be better off waiting until it all launches and play it in a month when it's all there. And then you don't have to worry about, I want to keep playing, and there's nothing to do because you've exhausted your wing of content for that week. But I'm sure Jocelyn will have lots of more informed Hearthstone-y things to say about it next week. I really can just say, as someone who enjoys the adventures, it's another one of those, and it's another good one. And I'm glad that their caginess about adventures when they launched the Tentacle expansion is not found here, and they've gone back to that League of Explorers well, and just tip the bucket out and here we go. Here's what we're gonna do. But yeah, we all know you're a big Heroes player. What's keeping you busy in that arena?
Well, Ariel came out, and I wish I could say that I've played her, but I've been playing mostly with friends, one of whom, Dan, aka Geek Jock, has had a death grip on her.
Really?
To the level of, even when another person on the team shows a support for their pick, he's like, that's okay, we can double support. He just has this death grip on her, and I don't blame him. He plays her really well.
Sure.
And he's having a lot of fun with it, so I say that with no animosity towards him, but it's been enough to have me say, well, what's going on in Heroes at the moment? And then I'm playing the same things that I've always been playing in there. But the new hero looks great and adds a lot of cool things to the meta, even though ultimately I'm still just I'm on the heroes that I'm usually on from my side of things.
Yeah, I actually purchased Ariel and her skin bonus pack where she's Devil Angel or whatever, and the mount as well, which is at $15, it's like, that's a steal. Like a mount, a skin, and a new hero. Like that to me seems like a great deal. And I've been playing her a lot, and I really dig her. Like probably the most fun I've had healing. And I know initially when a new hero comes out, like people are still like trying to figure it out, and there's usually two of the new heroes, one on each team. And the first few days when I was playing as her, I was getting into these team fights where both Ariels were healing so well that team fights were lasting like uncomfortably long. Like way longer than they normally do. Like everyone should be dead by now. What's happening?
Just reaches that point where people are out of breath and unsure of themselves.
Yeah, like everyone's like, can we just take 5, please?
Right.
Like you've healed me back from death like 16 times. I could really use some mana. I mean, why aren't you?
We all hearth back and
Yeah.
we'll meet back here and we'll keep going. But just all right. Let's just chill. Let's just take a breather. You want to take a merc camp? What if we agree to just both go take merc camp?
Yeah, we can have the mercs fight this out for a bit. I mean, they'll just clash and we'll take 5. But no, as the game's been progressing and people have been getting used to the character, I find it's a little less like that. But I don't know. Like I like the idea of healing, and it takes a very special hero to sort of nail that. And Ariel with her sort of group healing just works so well. But the thing that I haven't really caught on to is that I thought when they added a resurrect to the game, I'd be like, oh man, now that's a game breaker. But it's really tough to pull off that resurrect like well. Because usually when heroes are dying properly, it's in a team fight, and the cast is so long that you're not going to be able to get that person back up in a team fight. And if the team fight's over and you're trying to res, chances are you're going to die, and the person you just revived is going to die as well because you're getting overwhelmed. So I usually go with the crystal, but even then I find that's more just like a good like quick slap to the face to the enemy where they're like targeting one hero, and then all of a sudden it's not working, and if they don't move quick enough, it can just give you that split second to throw people off. She's a lot of fun, and you should tell Dan to give her up. I think you'd enjoy her.
Just ease up a little bit for a game or two. Let me get her to level 5.
Yeah, exactly. I think I just got her to level 5, which is probably a new record for fastest I've gotten a new hero. Like I like to dabble in experiences, and Hero is one of those games that I enjoy, but I don't play a whole lot of it, and this has certainly been playing a whole lot. But you mentioned Legion. You did mention that you haven't been playing a lot of StarCraft. Have you had any interest in the Nova Covert Op mission packs? Have you dabbled in that yet?
I've been interested, but the thing that's kept me from it is that I still haven't technically finished Heart of the Swarm.
What?
And I also therefore have not finished the Legacy of the Void.
Right.
So I actually ended up kind of skipping the end. I cheated a little bit when it became clear that I was not going to finish Heart of the Swarm.
Right.
I said, "All right, I'm going the cheat way, and I'm gonna YouTube what happens, and I'm gonna just look it all up." And so I did that. And then I was like, all right, ready for Legacy of the Void. And I got like 4 missions in, but I don't remember what it was that came out at the same time as that. But something big came out
Fallout.
right around.
Was it Fallout?
It could have been Fallout.
I think it was the same day, because I remember that. It was a big day. Like Fallout, StarCraft, and probably a new COD, which, I mean, I don't know if you're a Call of Duty player. It didn't really factor in on my occasion. But yeah, Fallout 4 and Legacy of the Void came out. And you go to BlizzCon, right? And I think BlizzCon would have been the week before. So that, you might have been BlizzCon hangover. I don't know.
Yeah, and then there was that on top of it. So I just remember saying, oh, this is really, really great. I'm really loving this. And then just all of my time going somewhere else.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, I will say that StarCraft 2's campaign is probably some of the best campaign Blizzard is doing right now, paired with gameplay. Like World of Warcraft, sure, it's got a great story, but the gameplay is still an MMO. It gets better and better, but it's never like, this is like true classic, amazing RTS stuff, and I think it's literally the best work they're doing in campaign. And if only Diablo would get more campaign, maybe then it would it would have its rival. But yeah, StarCraft 2, I really like the campaign, and not that you need more of it, but Nova Covert Ops is more of it. But yeah, so I recommend you finish those games, because I mean, like you said, Jocelyn's finished those, and you're not doing a very good Jocelyn. I just throw it out.
Yeah, it's a good point. I really do need to finish it. And what bugs me is now, we've got this is kind of preempting ourselves a little bit, but
Sure.
You've got Alarak announced, and
Yeah.
I'm like, well, he looks cool and he sounds cool. I have no idea who he is because I haven't seen him yet, because he was in the expansion that I haven't finished.
That's what confused me on Core, is that you all didn't know who he was, and I'm like, surely someone must have played Legacy of the Void, and not even Scott had gotten that far. And he is a great character in Legacy of the Void, and not that you're missing out in terms of playing him in Heroes and not having played him in Legacy of the Void, but there's a piece of his character that I think could come off as a little annoying unless you've played his story, where that's part of his charm, is him being this weirdly dark, very war-driven character. And you'll certainly get that in the Nexus, but knowing where he's coming from and how he fits into Legacy of the Void, it's really cool. But yeah, there's so much stuff out these days, and like me telling you to go back and play not a game that came out in November, but a game that came out like 2 or 3 Marches ago, probably not the advice you're looking for.
Well, I want to play it. I mean, the Protoss is my favorite faction in StarCraft, although not the one I'm best at playing. I'm best at playing Terran, and I'm worst at playing Zerg, which is why I had such a hard time with Heart of the Swarm. But I really want to get into it. I just have... there's so much, like you said, there's just too many things, and we're on the heels of Legion at the moment, or I guess it wouldn't be the heels, the tiptoes of Legion at the moment.
I'd say they've already kicked us out the door towards Legion. Like, Legion's across the street. We're at least gonna kick you halfway across the street. So, because that's coming quick. Like, we're looking at what, 2 weeks, 13 days. Ugh, oof.
There were new quests to do yesterday.
Oh right, yeah. What did they add? Have you done it yet?
Yeah, so I went through the quest, and it's really cool because it's almost like doing a little bit of a WoW's greatest hits. You get to see Dalaran, and you get to see Ulduar, and you get to see Karazhan, and it doesn't take long, but you get to interact with lore characters. And I found myself thinking as I was going through it, even finding myself saying, like, man, I'd be okay if this was leveling. Like, getting to hang out with lore characters while they do cool things is way better than killing X number of bats,
Yeah.
So I don't know, I'm just really into the lore they're telling, and hopefully I gave that all with enough of a spoiler-free nature to anybody who hasn't done it yet. But I recommend checking it out.
Okay.
Because it was good.
I need to jump back in, and one of my worries was leading up to Legion. Like, I've done the scenario, I've done my level boost, I've done my Demon Hunter. Am I just gonna have to redo the same, like, pre-invasion quest over and over again until Legion pops? And it's good to hear that there's some new quests and stuff, and I'm gonna jump in, and it's good to see that they're not just releasing this Demon Hunter patch and the scenario patch, and they're doing more with Legion. And we probably got a little bit more Legion to talk about, but that's in the news. So first off, I'm going to talk to you all about bit.ly/amove store, where you can buy some amazing glassware from our good friend, another John, but we will call him Barbecue Master. I can't even remember the last time we called him Barbecue Master, but that's who it is. bit.ly/amove store. You can find stemless wine glasses, pint glasses, coffee mugs, all with your favorite A-Move logos, including the Gamers Inn, or the Angry Chicken, or Into the Nexus, or I'm sure there are others there, because there's plenty of A-Move to go around. So check that out, bit.ly/amove store. Our topic, I threw in this punny little thing. It's a Blizzard of Gamescom news, because Blizzard seems to be the only company interested in just sprinkling some solid news bits around. It's not like BlizzCon level, but it's certainly like, here's what we're up to in the next couple months. And obviously Heroes, a big focus here. We can go through those really quickly. I know that you guys cover them pretty in depth on the recent core, so I don't want to take people away from that. If you want to hear more details, you can certainly go check that out, or check out the newest Into the Nexus, which is probably recording tomorrow. But why don't we talk about what we're most excited about for Heroes, and then we'll move on to the other ones, because there's a lot here. And I think for me, it's just really great to be seeing StarCraft in the Nexus. Like, just the maps alone look so cool, and kind of, I don't know, it makes me feel like finally, it took you so long to do it, but it feels like you've done it correctly here with these 2 StarCraft maps that feel very, very StarCraft. I don't know, that's what I'm most looking forward to. Have you had a chance to dive deep on the StarCraft maps? They look pretty cool.
It looks so good. To me, that is definitely the most exciting thing. I know there's a lot of diehard Zarya fans out there that are probably like, no, talk about Zarya. But my favorite part is the maps. The StarCraft maps look like they are from a different game. They look like they're from StarCraft 3, because they look a little better than what you'd expect in StarCraft 2, and they don't look like Heroes of the Storm maps at all, so therefore it must be StarCraft 3. And man, they've got cool ideas for it, including one, the Warhead Gulch, or whatever it's called. Like, that one just sounds like it's going to change the way encounters and the game is played in such a big way that I can't wait to try it.
I love your comparison of, like, it's not StarCraft 2, but it's StarCraft 3. It certainly feels like the assets inspired by StarCraft 2, but they've done it in the Heroes engine, and it is a step above. I mean, when you look at the StarCraft 2 engine, that's an engine that's, 6 years old, if not older, right? I think I was in college when I bought Wings of Liberty, which would have been 6+ years ago, and it's definitely a game that's been around for a while, longer than Heroes of the Storm, so it's great to see those assets sort of revived. And if this is the way that we get Blizzard to just keep their franchises alive in the Nexus, like if we get what is equivalent to Warcraft 4 maps in Heroes of the Storm, that'd be really cool, because there aren't any, like, straight up Warcraft maps, are there? Like,
no, not yet. So far, Diablo and soon to be StarCraft are the only ones that have gotten universe-specific maps.
I really like the idea of universe-specific maps, and it kind of boggles my mind that I haven't come to the realization that they aren't in there. Like, it's all sort of like just the Nexus, like Garden of Terror, Tower of Doom. Is that Diablo? Or is that
Tower of Doom is definitely, it has WoW assets, so it's got like the Headless Horseman in it, and I think there are probably some people that think it looks very WoW-ish. I believe there was a rumor that got confirmed that originally it was going to be Alterac Valley, so I think there was actually going to be a time where it was going to be a WoW map, but even then I think ultimately it is its own thing, although I think it's my favorite looking map in the game currently.
Yeah, Towers of Doom is probably my favorite map. I'm always excited when that one pops up, mainly because it is so different from just the smash the other person's core. It's different from just, play the game properly. Now you have to play the game properly, but also worry about capturing other points. But obviously Heroes, a lot of other stuff announced, all behind the banner of the Machines of War, all led by StarCraft. You had mentioned Zarya. I don't know, like, I like Overwatch. I really love Overwatch, and I love the heroes that they've developed, and I almost feel like them starting off with Tracer is kind of like, that's on everybody's checklist. And Zarya, I don't know, like, Zarya wasn't up there for me. I'm excited that she's coming to Heroes, but I understand why they chose her, because every other character that I can think of that I would like to see kind of fills a role that's already well filled with recent heroes. Like, most of them are ranged assassins, right? Because it's a shooter game, and Reaper and that's the only one I can come up with. But
yep, Reaper
and some other ones like Junkrat. Junkrat would be cool. Road Rash, or whatever his name is. Roadhog. Sorry, I lost it for a second there. But
Road Rash is a good name for him, though.
sometimes he's got. I would think he'd have some rashes. That's
Sure.
I mean, leather chafes people,
Yeah.
especially on that weird road desert map. But speaking of Overwatch, we got a new map. This German castle. I haven't seen a lot of it. How big into Overwatch are you, and are you excited? Obviously, you're excited about a new map, but does this giant castle sort of pique your interest?
Yeah, it seems like a cool idea to have a map. They said that their big focus was to have it kind of go vertical near the end, and I think that's kind of a cool idea. Definitely an interesting change. Not a lot of verticality on the maps that they currently have. I mean, there's always ways to get above people and stuff like that, but you're never running up to something for an objective. So it's an interesting idea. And, of course, the big part for me, I've always said that and this is going to sound like an insult, it isn't, because I like Overwatch a lot. But my least favorite part about Overwatch is the game. And
Okay.
so what I mean by that is I'm not a big arena shooter type person or objective based shooter type person. So while I love the gameplay and I think the game's great and all of that, I'm in because I think these characters are super cool. I think the world looks incredible. I love the lore. I love the story. So to me, the part I latched on was, oh, this is where they found Bastion. And look, you can see all these Omnics broken down. And who's that Reinhardt looking guy sitting on the throne of the castle in the video? Like, what's his deal? So immediately I go to lore. Whereas I'm sure there are people out there that are like, that's a good sniping spot and I'm going to do this here. And I don't care about any of that. It's like, just tell me the lore behind this place, because that's all I really want to know.
You and I are going to get along fashionably because it's a safe place here, and I agree with you. The gameplay of Overwatch is not really my cup of tea. More recently, I've been sort of begrudgingly playing, kind of like, I want to get the Tracer Sprint, at least the Tracer Sprint skin before this goes away, and I don't want to drop $20, although I probably should because I've been playing the game, and I had just purchased the base game, and I like the gameplay. But knowing there's lore, sort of trickled through these new maps. So when they add a new map, it's kind of exciting. Like when they added Ana, it was the character, while fun. A majority of what I enjoyed from Ana's addition to the game was her sort of backstory, the YouTube videos that were available to everyone. And I agree with you. And I've said on this show multiple times, we need something that rewards Blizzard's creativity of story, not just in YouTube videos and cool comics, but in gameplay. Give us some sort of horde mode where, I don't know, we're fighting a bunch of Omnics. If they have no issue with a bunch of Winstons going up against a bunch of Hanzos in multiplayer, they should have no issue with doing the same thing in some sort of horde mode where we all try to blast wave after wave of Omnics. And that's what I would like, and I mean, you could do cool story scenarios there, but yeah, I'm with you. I feel like every time they add something to this game, it's exciting that every time they do, it's sort of adding to the lore, or at least building on what we know of the lore. And obviously, we'll get more of that tomorrow with the new Bastion cinematic that's coming out. I think launching tomorrow morning. So that's exciting.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that. Those have been amazing and just further ingrained me in the, I want a movie and a TV show and a single player experience and all this other stuff for Overwatch, because I like that world a lot.
Yeah. And wrapping up the Gamescom news, we go back to Karazhan. Something we mentioned early on the show with you having a special connection to Karazhan. You like that raid. And it seems like Blizzard's been kind of taking to heart the criticism they got with Draenor, because they're already talking about 7.1. And that patch is going to be called Return to Karazhan. And this sort of just came out today. Is this something that you've latched onto?
Oh, for sure. I am a huge fan of Karazhan. I mean, for me, the iconic raids and time in WoW has been probably Molten Core, because it was, the first first time ever experiencing that sort of thing. But as far as like liking the content, Karazhan and Ulduar are always going to be the places that I have just the fondest memories of. And hearing that they're bringing it back and they're keeping the original but gonna update it and do some cool stuff, I couldn't be more excited. And yeah, the pace seems really big because they also said that it's going to be on the PTR once Legion launches.
Wow.
So we're seeing PTR 7.1 the day the expansion hits. So that's fast.
That's, yeah, very quick, especially for those folks who are like racing to raid right away, knowing that, okay, we will only have to do launch content for 2 weeks and then we'll have new stuff to sort of sink our teeth into. And the fact that it's one of the most well-known raids coming back in sort of, you know, updated look and feel, that's got to be exciting for folks that, you know, because World of Warcraft, like I've always said, it belongs in a special place for me because it was my first MMO. It's the first one I actually really fully enjoyed and continue to enjoy. And you know, I think this goes back to a similar feeling when like Noxramas came back for Wrath of the Lich King. Like they kind of redid it a little bit there, and I don't know. I'm excited, and I think I'm just most excited to see people like the naysayers kind of get their news now. Like this is a different, you know, WoW team. This is a different mentality. We're going to be providing content very quickly. We're not just going to say again and not prove ourselves that we're going to be developing content faster. And this is pretty exciting for folks to have a whole new expansion, and then a month later, like a raid based on one of the most beloved raids in past years. Like this is kind of exciting.
People have been so harsh on Blizzard with WoW, and I'm going to say not unjustifiably so. I think there's definitely plenty of criticism to levy their way, but it's been so harsh. And you know, there's friends that we interact with that have even said like, you know, no, I'm done. I'm completely calling it. They lost my faith as a consumer. I'm done. And I think seeing things like this is a nice play to do exactly what you said. But we're not doing what we did last time.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's if you are a cynic or just naturally negative, which is fine, you know, it can be pretty easy to look. It's like, well, yeah, prove it to me. Like, prove it to me that you're going to be changing this time, and we're not. And I even said on the show that, like, you know, what if it's another Draenor? Like I come back to the game every year and a half, happy to do it, happy to play with my friends, experience new content, and then I am happy to go away for a bit and play other games. And so I don't usually get into that whole like, oh, we need more content quickly. And now I'm kind of thinking the people like we had the same experience last time with Draenor. We were so on top of it for the first 3 months, and it was great stuff. And then you guys just turned into these rabid like dogs just launching at Blizzard, being like, you're, you know, ships, F ships, just you know, I'm gonna flip the table, you know. And I liked Garrisons, and I didn't get a chance to try the ships, but I guess they were terrible. So
they were really, really bad. And Garrisons ended up being really bad. And I was on the boat of, this is a wonderful expansion at the beginning. Although I am always willing to remind people that I completely called it prior to Warlord's launch, and I said, this expansion seems content light.
And it was the first one they increased the price on, too.
Yeah, that was why I thought it was... that's what really tipped me off, that I was like, this seems really light, because I was extra mad about the additional price for something. But, but I don't get that vibe from this one. So, I don't know, maybe I'm not going to be psychic twice, and I'll get burned twice instead, but... I get the vibe that they're really trying to do something different here, and that they have a good plan to do something different here. And, you know, we'll see. I think these past couple of weeks have been the most I've enjoyed WoW since probably Lich King, and we're not even to the actual launch of the expansion yet. So,
which is pretty crazy.
To me, that bodes well.
Yeah, and you know what? We spend a lot of time on the internet. And we experience a lot of people's opinions, maybe through happenstance on Twitter or while browsing Reddit of our favorite games. But there seems to be this mentality of internet people or just people in general. I guess I could say, I shouldn't just throw the internet under the bus, but to be like, just make people the bad guys. Like, make Blizzard the bad guy. Make Hello Games the bad guy. Like, you guys are clearly out to get us, out to get our money, out to make a product that tricks us into giving you our money. And it's like, I don't know. I, for one, have a little faith in people that spend years of their lives building these products, not just for you, but for themselves, you know? And Blizzard, I throw in the same boat as, let's give them a chance. Why are we suddenly, like, why do we keep our pitchforks pre-lit, I almost said? But, like, you don't light the pitchforks on fire, although...
Maybe you do if you get extra angry. I'm so angry that I'm not even going to bring a torch. I'm going to just literally light the pitchfork on fire.
Well, it's like the spork for mobsters, or mobs. The mobsters. It's like the spork for mobs, you know? You only have one, and you have a free hand to, like, pick up stuff and throw it, you know? So if you have, you know, get your pitch torch. I'll keep shopping that around. We'll work on that after. But I don't understand that mentality, and it seems like when a company makes a mistake, they're suddenly tainted. You know, like EA took forever to get out of the sort of shadow that was SimCity, right? And I think they're starting to come around, but I don't know. I don't like that mentality. You know, it just gives me the heebie-jeebies when I.
You hit a real trigger word for me, though.
Heebie-jeebies?
No, SimCity.
Oh. I was worried, like, I should have put that in the notes. Like, I'm going to say heebie-jeebies at least once, so...
Yeah, there will be one... no, you just need to warn people that you do bring up SimCity, kind of out of the blue. That's the most burned I've ever felt by a game, I think.
We were pretty upset about that here, and... But sorry, you were saying that it's something that holds a special place in your gaming basement that you lock down there forever.
Well, sure. I mean, you can usually tell, right? Like you can look at a game and you can kind of tell what it's going to be, what to expect. And I think SimCity is so extra bad to me because it was that case of I felt completely like the wool had been pulled over my eyes.
Sure.
I felt like it was so clear what my expectations were and that it was going to be met, and then what was delivered was just like, oh, this isn't it at all, and then it didn't work on top of it. So it was like the double whammy of it wasn't what you wanted, and also it's broken.
Yeah, I agree. And you can't bring up SimCity without remembering the fact that was literally probably the last time I've picked up a game thinking, okay, I've never really got into a SimCity. This is going to be it. Everyone's talking about it. All my friends are going to buy it. We're all going to play it. It's going to be amazing. And then, yeah, you're right. Like, it was literally an example of a company kind of making a game, advertising it one way, showcasing it a certain way, but not really having it work that way. And they tried to make good, you know, giving free games out, offering refunds, patching it. But it was still too little too late with that one. And I mean, and like I said, EA's had a hard time getting out of that shadow, and I think they've succeeded for the most part. They've been a little more front and forward with the sort of issues plaguing games, but some might say Battlefront might have had... Well, no, they were pretty public about Battlefront. They were saying, like, this is multiplayer only, the maps are these many, and you can pay us $80 or not. It's your choice.
Yeah, I didn't feel surprised by Battlefront. Mm-hmm. It didn't keep me from feeling a little let down. Sure. Like, just a case of, like, you know, you guys make these games for a living, like these types of games. Like, it's weird that this feels as light as it does, but it's a pretty game, sure. Yeah.
And it feels like you're playing Star Wars, and the season pass actually went on sale pretty recently, and I, you know, effectively doubled the purchase value of that game. And at that point, it starts to feel like the content that's in this game, if I revisit it once every couple weeks, it does feel new and fresh, and I'm kind of excited to boot it up and play a couple rounds. But that initial offering was not so hot. But Whew, what a show. What a show. Let's talk a little bit about Patreon. I want to thank our patrons, patreon.com/thegamersin. It's all thanks to you fine folks that we are able to provide extra content on the feed, including our patron hangout, which takes place every third Thursday of the month, which is tomorrow. And we're going to be recording that patron hangout at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can load up Discord, get in the patron voice channel, and we'll queue you up to the live channel, and you can chat with Jocelyn and I, and we might shoot the shit about DreamHack Montreal, talk about Hearthstone, talk about your favorite GamesCom news. We covered some of the highlights, but GamesCom doesn't technically start till tomorrow, so maybe tell us what you thought about that Bastion animation. But you can check out our Discord. All the links are in the show notes and all that fun stuff, and we're happy to chat about whatever you'd like. But right now I want to chat about thanking John for joining us. Thank you for being on the show, John. It's been amazing to talk about No Man's Sky, Blizzard, Serm City, and, other things.
It has been. Thank you so much for having me. It was kind of weird because you invited me and I thought, yes, now is my chance to not talk about Blizzard games. I don't have to talk about World of Warcraft, and I don't have to talk about Heroes. I can talk about all the other stuff I was playing, and then all I did was play Blizzard games. So, Blizzard got me. They knew I was coming here, and they said, well, we got him.
Well, the thing is, sometimes I'll go weeks where, I've fallen into a Blizzard hole, and then the show turns into, what's the Blizzard? What's going on? What are we batting down the hatches for this time? And you know what? It's a video game podcast about video games we're playing, and it's about the hosts. It's not about covering the newest and greatest thing. And, we happen to talk about No Man's Sky as the newest and greatest thing, but
that's right.
Yeah, you know what? If you're playing a bunch of Blizzard games, luckily those games are updated enough that you can experience something new in one of those properties every week. So we do not shy away from talking about Blizzard games. But I do want to thank you again for joining us. Why don't you let the fine folks where they can find you on the internet? You mentioned a little Heroes, a little WoW. I think there's some places where they can hear more about that.
Absolutely. The best place to find out what I'm up to is to just follow me on Twitter. You can do that at John_Jagger. But if you want to hear me talk about more Blizzard things, you can check out the Core podcast. That's part of the Frog Pants Network. You can find out more about that at heroesforyou.com. Or if you want to hear me talk about World of Warcraft, you can listen to Azeroth Roundtable, and you can find out more about that at azerothroundtable.com.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I know Jocelyn's been on Azeroth Roundtable a few times. She's mentioned on the show. So definitely check out those fantastic podcasts. Follow him on Twitter. And talk to him about No Man's Sky, because he needs to talk about games in our Blizzard. You need to start a No Man's Sky adventure diary, like Stardate. August 17th. I don't know how to actually do Stardate. I don't watch Star Trek, but
I'm not even kidding you. I legitimately thought about doing this.
Do it. Okay.
Thought about doing it.
Because this is live. There's only 9 people watching. So what we could do is we can wipe their memory, or maybe ask them nicely not to steal your idea. Yeah. And then you do it, and you talk about that weird, bubbly bear you saw, and then the screenshot for the podcast can be whatever you discovered that week and you running from it.
Yeah, it'd be great. It'd be fun. And then here's the discovery of Boridium. Sorry guys, it was a light day.
Yeah, this week I don't know what to tell you, but I don't know. The most interesting thing I saw was this here rock. So next week on Space Adventures. But okay, look forward to that at spaceadventures.edu. I don't know. It's probably still available.
Well, we can keep it educational.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you spent the extra $25 on .edu. If you want to find more about the Gamers Inn, you can go to gamersinpodcast.com. You can also find us on amove.tv, along with other fabulous podcasts, including The Angry Nerd, Into the Nexus, Overwatchers, and The Angry Chicken. Actually, speaking of The Angry Nerd, Garrett just had Phil Kohler on, I believe, to talk about No Man's Sky. Just making my way through that podcast, and amazing stuff. So if you want more No Man's Sky goodness, check that out. You can follow us on Twitter. You can find Jocelyn at JossPlays, myself at R. Murphy, and as John mentioned, at John_Jagger. But don't forget to follow the show at The Gamers Inn. And also, the video versions of all our episodes can be found on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/amovetv. You can also find us on Facebook and Google+, if you still hang out on those Boridian planets. Email the show at info@gamersinpodcast.com and let us know what you thought about Gamescom or No Man's Sky or just all this general blizzarding around we've been doing. Thanks for watching, and tune in next week. Thanks again, John, and everyone have a fantastic evening.